Perfect is the enemy of good is a quote attributed to Voltaire, a French philosopher and author. You may have heard it before, or this might be the first time. And over time and space, several others have said some very similar things. Maybe you've heard one of them. The first time I heard that quote, it took me by surprise, and I did not immediately accept its importance. I didn't fully appreciate its powerful and elegant beauty. In fact, I was really resistant. I found it an uncomfortable idea because I, like many of you, would strive for perfection in everything I do. So this short quote made a huge shakeup to my MO. But as I thought about it more deeply, I realized the impact that my perfectionism has had on my life thus far, and the profound power for positive change held in just those 6 words. My name is Mozella Perry Ademiluyi, and here is this week's Mountain Newsletter. Each week, I give you ways to have what you want, make the difference you came here to make, and love the life you live. This week, I'm here to tell you to give yourself a break, to remind you that you are good enough, and encourage you to just let it fly. Let what fly, I hear you're asking? Well, I mean whatever it is that you have been working on, polished repeatedly, yet still deemed not ready to see the light of day. It is ready. Let it fly. Because here's the thing. Perfectionism is not about high standards. It's about fear. It is an attempt to protect yourself from judgment, from failure, from criticism, and from the feeling of just not being good enough. This fear can hold us captive, preventing us from taking the necessary steps and risks that it takes to succeed. It stops you from getting things done, but also prevents you from getting help because you can't relinquish control and believe that only you can and will do what it takes. It stops you from getting rest because the work is never done. And it stops you from feeling your successes and accomplishments because they were not perfect. Perfection is that whispering voice telling us we can excel at everything if we stay vigilant enough, try hard enough, and tweak just a little bit more. It's alluring, isn't it? And let's be honest, perfection is a myth. And I'm going to repeat myself here. It's a myth based on fear. A fear that whispered tales of mediocrity despite our relentless toil. But like we talked about in your newsletter, Turning Fear into Fuel, deep within that fear lay the seeds of profound self-revelation. Could overcommitment and emotional fatigue be signposts urging you to recalibrate and renew? What new pathways could open if we viewed these fears not as foes, but as guides directing us toward personal coherence? Imagine setting aside striving for a moment to simply listen to the quieter, intuitive sides of ourselves. What then? Take this as your wake-up call. We must get in tune with and address the fear underlying perfectionism and learn to address it for what it is. Because the people who never take control back keep touting their perfectionism as a source of pride while not being able to be truly proud of anything else. They keep holding themselves back from making the progress they are ready for and need while worshiping this false friend. And that is not all. Negative self-talk, that persistent internal critic, often goes hand in hand with perfectionism. It undermines our self-esteem and motivation. Staying motivated isn't just about sheer willpower. It's about having a structured plan and emotional investment. For the longest time, I wondered why my motivation wavered. And it was an eye opener when I learned that motivation thrives on coherence, clarity, and an emotional connection to the task at hand. In aims for perfection, I learned to internalize the fear of failure. Furthermore, when the task at hand was to achieve perfection in all things, I was not truly aligned with what I was doing, more with what I might be doing wrong. To push back, I focus on replacing negative with positive affirmations, grounding myself in gratitude to highlight my strengths and achievements. I don't believe in failure as something to dread, but as an invaluable part of learning. Now, that's not to say I do not dread failure. You know how it can be. We can say one thing about what we believe and feel something else entirely, often the exact opposite. And in case you don't immediately recognize it, this discrepancy between what you or I say and what we feel is an example of not being coherent, meaning our head, our thinking, and our heart are feelings that are out of sync. Keep in mind, we are not alone in our shortcomings, and I am a constant work in progress too. And as I work on this through reframing, I learn to celebrate small wins, building a sense of confidence and resilience. Each small victory as a reminder that we're capable even when we don't get everything just right the first time. By shifting this internal dialogue, we create a foundation of self-compassion and encouragement. Emphasizing what's going well over what's flawed reframes our journey, prioritizing positivity and progress over self-criticism. Because in reality, perfection does not exist. So why try to cover more ground than your feet are willing to tread? Imagine standing at the bottom of a mountain, envisioning yourself at the top without ever having climbed one before. Would you sprint forward with no clear route or gear, or pause to plan your path, gather your essentials, and do the necessary training? And by the way, positive self-talk is an essential tool too. This moment is where we, the ambitious, perfectionist souls, often stumble. What could we discover if we ask ourselves more often about the path we're on, rather than the promise of standing on top of our most challenging mountains, having never stumbled along the way? Now, I'm not suggesting that you can't make it to the top. Of course you can. You can do anything you set your head, heart, and hands alignment to. I'm saying accept and embrace every step of the journey, including the stumbles and missteps as equally valuable parts of your path. Embrace mistakes as learning moments and imperfections as a guarantee, because they will happen. Now, taking it back off the mountain, I'm not suggesting that you put out superficial work, because surely it will be passable. No, I would not promote that, and you would not do it even if I did. We want good here. Of course, going for great works too, as long as you don't equate great with perfect. As long as we are aiming for the best that we can do without falling into that trap. It took me a while to embrace the notion of good enough. It involves setting realistic standards rather than aiming for the unattainable. Then, by focusing on steady improvements, we can slowly chip away at the inertia that perfectionism creates. Overcoming perfectionism is a journey, one that requires patience and self-compassion. It's about moving from a tightrope to a path of freedom, where good enough is more than sufficient, and every mishap is a lesson learned. Along the way, we build resilience, confidence, and a deep appreciation of ourselves and our capabilities. It's a journey worth pursuing, allowing us to finally break free from the perfectionism trap and step boldly into a life filled with growth and possibility. Shifting my perspective to this mentality of good enough involved acknowledging that progress is fueled not by infallibility, but by persistence. Little by little, we can hone in on what's truly important rather than getting lost in the details that don't quite matter. And this is a goal and path that the head and heart can get coherently behind and in alignment with. Now, for our upgraded members, the next video is going to walk you through exactly how you can escape the perfectionist trap, how to celebrate those small victories, quiet the negative self-talk, and look at what you have done and are doing through a lens of gratitude. And allow yourself finally to bring your good enough into the world so that it can have the impact that you created it for, and so that you can have what you want. Make the difference in this world that you came to make and love the life you live without consistent self-doubt and second guessing.